Just picture yourself reaching the height of achievement, only to discover that you have fallen into the depths of financial devastation. Anil Ambani's story is quite remarkable. He went from being the sixth richest person in the world in 2008 to filing for bankruptcy just over a decade later. This is the story of his incredible journey. Ambition and strategic investments were the driving forces behind Anil Ambani's spectacular climb to power, but his empire was brought down by a string of mistakes and challenges from the outside world. The question is how a man who once had a fortune worth $42 billion could have ended up with nothing. Let's get to the bottom of the spectacular chain of events that led to this remarkable fall from grace. In the year 1983, Anil Ambani became an executive at Reliance Industries, where he was responsible for dealing with corporate investors and the press. Up till the year 2002, Reliance had developed into a corporation worth $15 billion. The unfortunate passing of Dhirubhai Ambani in the same year, however, was the catalyst for the famed conflict between the Ambani brothers. Anil Ambani acquired control of the Reliance ADA group as a result of this disagreement, which resulted in the division of Reliance into two separate entities. Anil Ambani had a net worth of $42 billion in 2008, which placed him as the sixth richest person in the world at the time. After making history on the Indian stock market by listing Reliance Power, which turned out to be the largest offering in India at the time, Anil Ambani's net worth had increased by $23.8 billion. This was the best offering in India at the time. From being the sixth richest man in the world to declaring bankruptcy in the year 2020, what caused Anil Ambani to make such a dramatic change? Using the sequence of events, let's have a better understanding of it. The agreement with MTN was lost. A total of around $2 billion was invested by Anil Ambani in the development of Reliance Communications, which was the most successful mobile operator in India in 2008. This meeting took place between Reliance Communications and MTN, a mobile phone provider based in South Africa, to pay off the growing debts. The purpose of this transaction was to join the two companies in a single mega mobile merger. However, the transaction was unsuccessful because of a law issue, and as a result, Anil Ambani's dreams for a debt-clearing way out were dashed simultaneously. The controversy that occurred in 2011 with 2G. In April of 2011, Anil Ambani's managing director and two vice presidents were taken into custody on suspicion of arranging to purchase mobile network licenses at inflated rates for companies in which Reliance Communications had invested to artificially boost share prices. As a result of Anil Ambani's alleged involvement in the 2G spectrum scandal, which caused his net worth to drop by a factor of 4 to $8.8 billion, the Central Bureau of Investigation (CBI) questioned him. In 2012, three Chinese banks provided loans totaling more than $1.2 billion. Amid crisis in 2012, Anil Ambani took on additional debt to pay off the debts that he already had. A loan for more than $1.2 billion was obtained by Reliance Communications from three Chinese banks, with Anil Ambani serving as the personal guarantee. The launch of Jio in the year 2016. In 2016, several of Anil Ambani's businesses were experiencing difficulties in terms of both debt and operations. It was necessary for Reliance Power to sell its assets on the one hand. On the other hand, during 3 years, Reliance Communications had a valuation decline of 98%. Archion went out of business because it was unable to compete with the leading telecom firms and consequently lost customers. Anil Ambani's net worth dropped to $2.5 billion as a result of this decision. Ericsson filed a lawsuit in the year 2016. According to Anil Ambani, Reliance Communications owed the Swedish network giant Ericsson a total of $80 million, but he did not fulfill the debt. Because of this, Ericsson initiated legal action against Anil Ambani in the year 2016. A ruling issued by the Supreme Court of India in 2019 mandated that Anil Ambani either pay back the amount, which included interest, or face imprisonment. The money that was owed to Ericsson was paid by Anil Ambani's older brother Mukesh Ambani, which made it possible for Anil Ambani to avoid going to jail. This was an unlikely intervention. A resurgence of the Chinese banking system. In 2019, Reliance Communications submitted a bankruptcy petition. Up until that point, just a portion of the loan of $1.2 billion that it had obtained from the three Chinese banks, the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, the Export-Import Bank of China, and the China Development Bank, had been paid back. Over $700 million, including interest, was still owed by Anil Ambani. After taking into account all of his obligations, Anil Ambani published a statement in February 2020 stating that his net worth has reached zero. He He pleaded poverty and asserted that he does not possess any significant assets that might be liquidated to pay off the obligations that he owed to the Chinese banks. He claimed such assets were worthless. There has been a precipitous decline in the value of my investments. After taking into consideration all of my current and future obligations, my net value is zero. In a nutshell, I do not possess any significant assets that are capable of being sold off to satisfy the requirements of these procedures. Anil Ambani. We have all heard tales of people who went from having nothing to having everything, but it is not often that we hear tales of people who went from having nothing to having everything. It's one of those extremely uncommon ones. A man who had a net worth of $42 billion in 2008 would be considered to be living in poverty in the year 2020. Who would have believed that? Anil Ambani went from being the sixth richest person in the world in 2008 to declaring bankruptcy in 2020 is a startling example of how quickly fortunes can change. In 2008, Ambani was already the sixth richest person in the world. Here is a rundown of the most significant occurrences that contributed to his financial downfall. Failed deal with MTN 2008. Anil Ambani made significant investments in Reliance Communications in the hope of merging with MTN, which is based in South Africa, to resolve rising indebtedness. Because legal complications stopped the purchase from going through, he was unable to receive the anticipated financial respite. Ambani's net worth had a major decrease as a result of the 2G spectrum scandal 2011. This occurred as a result of allegations of corruption and the mispricing of mobile network licenses, which led to the stock value of his company plummeting after his legal issues. Accumulation of debt 2012. To deal with the ever-increasing debts, Reliance Communications obtained loans from Chinese banks totaling more than $1.2 billion, with Ambani personally guaranteeing the loans. In 2016, Reliance Communications faced competition from Jio, a new market entry, and struggled to compete with them. As a result, the company lost a substantial portion of its market share and saw its valuation plummet. In 2016, Ericsson filed a lawsuit against Reliance Communications to pursue legal action against the company for an outstanding debt of $80 million. Despite the intervention of the Supreme Court of India, Ambani's brother Mukesh had to take action to prevent him from being imprisoned. Reliance Communications filed for bankruptcy in 2019, although a significant percentage of the debt owed to Chinese banks remained unpaid. This happened during the 2019-2020 fiscal year. By the time February 2020 rolled around, Anil Ambani had revealed that his net worth had completely vanished, thereby showing that his assets were not adequate to satisfy his liabilities. The biography of Anil Ambani serves as a rare but frightening reminder of how unstable and insecure financial success can be, even for people who appeared to be unbeatable in the past. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and drop a comment below to let us know what you think.